Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Oh, glory to you. This Alikaji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Everyone who comes to London doesn't have a story like this.
Yeah, I think you can make me host now. Co-host. So that we can start.
But the bad story does not reach our country.
Okay.
Or people like Germa don't let them reach.
Hello, Padre Krishna Prasad Bhutali. Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So we welcome all of you to today's session. Chapter 4. Today we are dealing with chapter 4 of the Bhagavad-Gita. We are dealing with the chapter 4 of the Bhagavad-Gita entitled Transcendental Knowledge. I think you have to reduce the volume there for me, volume. Transcendental Knowledge. So, chapter 3 discusses how loss covers knowledge and how ignorance binds us with our own attachments. Krishna recommended dutiful, detached work, which is Niskama Kama, as a means to attain transcendental knowledge. In the first two verses, Krishna will describe how transcendental knowledge is received. How transcendental knowledge is received. So that brings us to the first verse. But before then, this is a summary overview as on the screen. The first 10 verses discuss transcendental knowledge about Krishna, because Krishna needed to reveal himself to Arjuna, because when he started telling him how he instructed these signs, so please help me reduce the volume. I beg. So Arjuna wanted to know that how, because you and me, we are mates and we have been friends. So how is it that you instructed this knowledge to the sun god? Because the sun god is by nature older than you. And how is it possible that you instructed then? Krishna had to reveal himself. He had to talk about himself, about his divine nature to Arjuna. And that constitutes the beginning of this chapter, Transcendental Knowledge. So the first 10 verses talk about transcendental knowledge about Krishna. Then the next 4 verses, verses 11 to 15, they discuss Krishna as the goal of all paths and creator of the Varnashram system. Those are in 5 verses. Then verses 16 to 24, Karma Yoga is discussed in 9 verses. Yes, Karma Yoga is discussed in 9 verses. Then Hare Krishna. Next, sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. That is in another 9 verses. Then 34 to 42, summary of transcendental knowledge, also in 9 verses. So this is the summary or the summary overview of what we are going to discuss in this chapter. So here comes. Yes. Krishna glorifies Niskama Kama Yoga in the last chapter. And towards the end, he warned against lust. That lust is very, very dangerous because it withers the knowledge of living entities. And therefore, this lust has to be done away with. That the duty of a leader, especially a Kshatriya leader, is to help the citizens overcome lust by good arrangements. Then we begin now. Chapter 14 and chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivasvati Yogam.
Transcendental knowledge.
Yes. Sorry. Transcendental Knowledge. Test 1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivasvati Yogam Proktavam Aham Avyayam Vivasvam Manave Prahu Manu Ikshvakave Bravit. The Blessed Lord said, I instructed these imperishable signs of yoga to the sun god, Vivasvan. And Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn instructed it to Ishvaka. So the question that first arises is, why the sun god? Why the sun god? Why not other personalities, other great personalities? Why the sun god? And the answer is there in the purport. Krishna made reference to the sun god because the sun god is the origin of the Surya Vamsa, and Arjuna also belonged to the same lineage, the same dynasty, the sun god dynasty. So Krishna is trying to say that just as the sun god had the duty of ruling and guiding the people in general on the path of greatness, you also have the same duty as a ruler on earth. You have the same duty to perform, to lead by example and lead people on the path of freedom. So since the sun god is your lineage, I'm referring to the sun god. I instructed these signs to the sun god millions of years before. Okay, so this is the connection. It is lost. The loss between the connection between the last chapter and this chapter is that towards the end, Krishna explained about the dangers of lust, how to avoid lust and anger. Then in this chapter, he's saying that since Arjuna belonged to the Sun dynasty, it is the duty of the leader, it is the duty of the Kshatriya leader or the Jarisi saintly king to protect the citizens from lust. Because lust destroys the knowledge of the living entity and bewilders it. So it is the duty of the leader to protect the citizens from this lust. And the Surya had the same duty. Arjuna is having the same duty. Therefore, is to act free from lust. Is to act with pure intelligence, so that he can guide the people properly on the path of transcendence. So this is the meaning of it. So somebody should read the purport.
Herein we find the history of Bhagavad-Gita traced from a remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of all planets, beginning from the sun planet. The king of all planets are especially meant for the protection of the inhabitants, and therefore the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad-Gita in order to be able to rule the citizen and protect them from the material bondage to lust. Human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. In other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that the people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path utilizing the opportunity of human form of life. In the millennium, the sun god is known as Vivaswan, the king of the sun, which is the origin of all planets within the solar system. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, let me worship, Lord Brahma said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person and under whose order the sun, which is the king of all planets, is assuring immense power and heat. The sun represents the eye of the Lord and traver- traverse- traverses its orbit in obedience to his order. The sun is the king of the planet, and the sun god, at present of the name Vivaswan, ruled the sun planet, which is controlling all other planets by supplying heat and light. He is rotating under the order of Krishna, and Lord Krishna originally made Vivaswan his first disciple to understand the science of Bhagavad-Gita. The Gita is not, therefore, a speculative treatise, treatise for the insignificant mundane scholar, but it is a standard book of knowledge coming down from the time immemorial. In Mahabharata, we can trace out the history of Gita as follows. In the beginning of millennium known as Treta Yuga, this science of relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vivaswan to Manu. Manu, being the father of mankind, gave it to his son Maharaj Ikshwashu, Ikshwaku, the king of this earth planet and forefather of the Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramchandra appears. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita existed in human society from the time of Maharaj Ikwasu, or Ikshwaku. At the present moment, we have just passed through 5,000 years of Kali Yuga, which lasts 432 years. Before this, there was a Dwapar Yuga, 8 lakh years, and before that it was Treta Yuga, 12 lakh years. Thus, some 20 lakhs 5,000 years ago, Manu spoke the Bhagavad Gita to his disciple and son Maharaj Iskwaku, the king of this planet Earth. The age of current Manu is calculated to last some 30 lakh is plenty years, which is
Okay.
124 lakh have passed. According
Okay, that's okay. Zabamai Mataji, that's okay.
okay.
That's okay. The point is
Thank you, sir.
clear, Hare Krishna. The point is very clear that the Surya, the sun god, is the origin of the sun dynasty, and Arjuna is also from the same dynasty. Therefore, the Lord is telling us that it is the duty of the ruler to take to Krishna consciousness and make Krishna consciousness available to everyone. has to be free from lust. So Arjuna represents his dynasty, that he has that I instructed these signs to some God, who is the origin of your dynasty. Now you have the same duty with the sun God. So take it and do it and show the example and lead the citizens on the right path. This is what Krishna is saying. Okay. Then verse 2. Evam param param praptam imam raja sayo vidu sankalini hamata yogunasta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appeared to be lost. So, why does Krishna speak this science specifically to Arjuna? Why did Krishna speak this science specifically to Arjuna? The next verse describes Arjuna's qualification, because to become a recipient of this knowledge, you must have certain qualifications. You must have certain qualifications. So why did Krishna choose Arjuna to be the one to receive that knowledge? To reawaken the succession that was broken. Why did he choose? What were the qualifications of Arjuna? And that is contained in the next verse. Verse 3. Sa evayamaya teyadia yoga prukta yoga prukta puratana bhakto simi saka seti rahasyam hi etat utama. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So, what were Arjuna's qualifications? Read, somebody should read the purport. Very important purport. Nobody is there to read?
There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as a recipient of this great science owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demon. Commentation by the devotee is real, whereas that the demon is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary by Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, do not accept the Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna instructions. Here is the warning about this misleading path. One should try to follow the disciplic succession of Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad-Gita.
So that is it. Yes, because only a devotee can understand Krishna. Only a devotee can understand Krishna. Others cannot. Because one's relationship with Krishna is what? A secret. It's a rahasya. It's a secret. Can understand the Lord. And only it's a confidential secret. Cover the living entity's real identity. And Krishna has no inclination, to remove the covering for everyone. He has inclination to remove this covering only for the devotees. So that is why the qualification for getting this knowledge is one has to become a devotee of the Lord. And the devotee acts in obedience to the Lord, therefore is a friend of the Lord. So these are the two qualifications. Arjuna was a devotee and a friend of the Lord. Friendship means understanding the mind of the guru, understanding the heart of the guru, or knowing the heart of the guru. That is friendship. So we know the heart of Krishna. Devotees know the heart of Krishna. Krishna wants all living entities to come back home, back to his kingdom. Devotees know this. And therefore a devotee acts in obedience, with Krishna's instruction. Therefore, only a friend and a devotee can understand this secret. First, the knowledge of the relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Lord is a secret, it's a rahasya, it is confidential. So it is not everyone that can understand it. Only devotees, those who are obedient to Krishna's instructions, only them can understand this. So this is the purpose of this verse. Krishna has no inclination to remove the covering for everyone other than his devotees. So Arjuna next presents a doubt. In text 4, Arjuna presented a doubt. Arjuna uvacha param bhavatu janma param janma vipasvataha katam itad vijaniyam twamadau proktavam iti. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Arjuna was still thinking in terms of this body. So it thinks that the sun god is senior. It's talking limited to the present birth. So Krishna explained that one receives transcendental knowledge through disciplic succession. Yes, because Vivasvan is thousands of years old and Krishna is Arjuna's contemporary. How could Krishna have possibly instructed this science to Vivasvan many thousands of years before? This question asks for the benefit of others, gives Krishna the opportunity to speak directly about himself. In other words, it is not that Arjuna did not know about the position of Krishna. He knew, but for the benefit of others. Because that is how the ordinary man will think and act. He will ask. You say you spoke this knowledge to the sun god. The sun god is millions of years older than you. How are we to understand that you spoke this science to the sun god? You are my mate here. You are 30 years old, I'm 30 years old, and you say you spoke this science to the sun god. How come? So the ordinary man will think like this. And Arjuna knows this. Therefore, he asks Krishna so that Krishna can explain about his real nature, his divine nature. So Arjuna is giving opportunity for Krishna to speak, is probing Krishna to speak about his divine nature, his real nature. This is the purpose of this verse. Speak about himself, directly about himself. Okay, so the personality of God, 5. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahumme Vyatitani Janmani Tabacha Arjuna Tani Aham Vedasara Sarvani Natvam Veda Parantapa. The Blessed Lord said, many, many birds, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So both Krishna and Arjuna had many, many birds. But because Krishna's transcendental body is fully spiritual, different from that of any jiva, because the jiva's body is subjected to birth and death, but Krishna's body is not. So Krishna's body is a Vyayatma. You see, Krishna's body is transcendental to birth and it never grows or never dies. But the living entity's body changes. So there is a difference. When the body changes, everything along the body is forgotten. So Arjuna, like you and me, we have forgotten our real identity, we have forgotten our previous lives. But Krishna, because his body doesn't change, he never forgets. You can get it. Krishna never forgets because his body never changes. But for us, our body changes, and therefore there is forgetfulness. Our body changes, so there is forgetfulness. So this is the difference between the Lord's body. So there are many terms used in the next verse that we explain this position of Krishna. Yes, many, many times in the next verse. Okay? He never changes his body. Krishna can just remember his many births, while Arjuna cannot. Krishna continues to describe transcendental knowledge by explaining his birth and his spiritual form. So that takes us to the next verse, where Krishna will take time to analyze the difference between his own body and ours more and more. Okay? So text 5. Is it text 5? No, text 6. Ajopi sam avyayatma bhutanam iswaropi sam prakritim swam adhistaya sambhavami atmamayaya. So many times I hear to explain avyayatma, bhutanam, iswara, prakriti, adhistaya, atmamayaya. Many, many verses are there to explain. So Krishna uses the term Atma-maya. He uses the term Atma-maya to explain his appearance. That Atma-maya means by my internal energy. That is what it means. Atma-maya means Yoga-maya. Yoga-maya, which is full of knowledge. Krishna's birth is extraordinary. It does not appear by force, nor is subject to the modes of material nature. But the individual living entity's body is subjected to the modes of material nature. It is born, it grows, produces byproducts, and dies. But Krishna's body never dies. So the nature of Krishna's body is abhyayatma. You see, it is self-sustaining. In addition, Atma Maya means that Krishna descends to this world by his causeless mercy. He did not take birth here out of the influence of the moves of nature. Yes. By his causeless mercy, he came to this world. The Prabhupada explains his appearance in his original form is his causeless mercy bestowed upon the living entities so that they can concentrate on the Supreme Lord as he is and not on mental concussion or imagination. You see. which the impersonalist wrongly thinks the Lord. The word Maya or Atma Maya refers to the Lord's causelessness. According to the Visual Kosal Dictionary, thus Krishna appears by his mercy to fulfill his own desires and to uplift others. Krishna, like the sun gods,
Your calling is busy. Please try again later. Your calling is busy. Please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandava.
Pranam.
Oh, glories. Please, sorry, I missed your call this morning.
Okay, I needed some credit. That was why I was calling. We're interrupted by network. My network just went off just like that. Just like that. So, by Krishna's mercy, we are back. So, we're talking about the nature of Krishna's body. That Krishna's body is completely transcendental to the influence of material nature. It never grows old. It was not forced. Krishna was not forced to take birth by the influence of the modes. Like he appeared, it takes a form out of his sweet will, out of his costless mercy to give opportunity to the conditioned soul to think about it. So the next verse is going to explain to us more. Bhakti Prince, the next verse is going to explain us more because like Arjuna was saying, asking me, but why actually did you appear? Why? Then Krishna is going to explain, in very clear terms, why he appeared in the next verse. So that is verse 7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glaniya bhavati bharata abhyutanam adamasya tadatmanam srijami aham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and the predominant rise of religion, at that time I discern myself. So discern means he's been existing. His body is not subject to the influence of the mode by his own Atma Maya, by his own Yoga Maya potency, by his own internal potency, he appears from time to time. But the basic reason is that whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, that is the time he appears, so that he can rectify. So the next verse also a continuation of that. So Krishna appears or advance. He is not born. Take note. Krishna is not born. We are born, but Krishna is not born. He appears. And he appears out of his own free will. See, he appears, he's not born. So take note of this. He only seems to take birth. It's like a drama. See, both Bhagavati and Sri Jami means that Krishna becomes manifest. He was there but unmanifest. But he manifested himself and he can unmanifest himself again. Sri Jami cannot be used in the sense of creation because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Sri Jami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Krishna next answered the question, why does he come? And what does he do? Why does Krishna actually come? And what does he do? First, he has given the first hint of why he comes in the verse 7. But now in verse 8, he's going to give more reasons why he actually comes. So, verse 8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chaduskritam dhamma samstapanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. So you get it right? To deliver the pious, this is why he comes, and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned in his purport that the Lord comes to deliver the devotees. The Bhagavad-Gita 4:26 clearly states that the devotee is already beyond the material qualities and is in a transcendental position. Oh. About one student is calling me. Hare Krishna. So the devotee is in the transcendental position. So if the devotee is already delivered, what need is there for Krishna to come and deliver him? Both Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan answered this question in the same way. They said, I manifest myself to deliver the pious who are attached by my beauty and qualities and who hanker to see me in person and to save my exclusive devotees from the miseries of their mental agitation. Their hearts are shattering out of eagerness to see me. As the Prabhupada confirmed this in his purpose, and Lord Sri Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastime. Therefore, the prime purpose of Krishna's avatar is to satisfy his own Lord devotees. Okay? Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. We are there. Class is going on now. This call is interrupting the class. You should join us now. The password is capital Institute. Then the network position is not good, but we are on. So try. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Try your best. So Prabhu Samadaji is sorry for that call. Is one of the students, Ashwini Kumara, is having network issues, so couldn't join. I need to call him to find out what's going on. So that is it, that the Lord, he can kill demons from distance through his energies. He can do everything just by sitting in one place, just by willing it. But the actual purpose of his appearance is to give darshan to his pure devotees who are so eager to see him. His pure devotees are so eager to see the Lord face to face in his original form. And that is his confidential reason for the Lord appearing in a human-like form, so that he can give them the opportunity to behold him, to behold his transcendental Vrindavan form. He appears. This other reason to deliver the pious and terminate the mysteries as well as that can be done through his agencies. His agencies are potent enough to do that. But the confidential reason for his appearing is to fulfill the desire of his pure devotees who are so eager to behold his form. This is the confidential reason for his appearance. So take note of it. We want to satisfy the unalloyed devotees. That is the prime purpose of Krishna's coming, to satisfy, to fulfill the desires of his unalloyed devotees, who want to have a dash and who want to see his form face to face. That is why he actually comes. See? That's why he actually comes. Verse 9. Janma karma chamedivyam evam yo vetita twataha tyatva deham puna janma 90 mam etiso Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So, Krishna describes the results of realizing transcendental knowledge, that a devotee achieves liberation and never has to take birth again in this material world. That is the result of knowing Krishna. That is the result of realizing Krishna. That is the result that you attain freedom and you will never have to take birth again in this material world. That's like Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur comments that such a devotee becomes free from matter even before leaving the body. Yes, he becomes completely liberated even while in the body. In other words, before he leaves the body, he will become so detached that is like a lotus leaf, which is on a lotus flower that is on the water, but is not touched by the water. So as a devotee attains such a transcendental position that while in this world, while eating, sleeping, acting, doing everything, is completely internally detached. It's only externally involved in these activities, but is completely internally free, liberated, like a lotus flower which is in the water, but it's not touched by water. And this is the meaning of to be in the world, but not of it. He is not involved, is not implicated in any worldly activity. All his activities are to promote transcendence. Therefore, even though he's acting, he's actually not acting. It's a transcendental position that we are all expected to arrive at, whereby we are acting, but we are not actually acting, because our actions do not attract any sinful reaction. And this is the great art of doing work, to act for Krishna. Otherwise, our actions will produce reactions that will bind us. But the devotee escapes this. See, the result of going beyond knowledge of Krishna to a state of absorption in Krishna is given in the next verse. To just know that Krishna is the supreme, we are not the body, we are part and parcel of him. It's okay. That is the beginning of the whole exercise. We have to go beyond. We have to go beyond and really realize and get absorbed. Absorbed means the last stage of remembrance. There are 5 stages of remembrance. The last stage is samadhi. To constantly think of the Lord. Constantly. Ashwini Kumara Prabhu, you are welcome. You are welcome. Hare Krishna. Finally, Ashwini Kumara has appeared. All these mystical things you are doing, you have to reduce them. Ashwini Kumara. Is you appear and appear properly and stay with us. Not that you appear and small that you disappear again, as small that network is affecting you and small that network is not affecting you again. Okay, you are welcome. So he said, knowing that we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna, is very good because it's the beginning. Realizing it is more intense. But to become constantly absorbed in thought of Krishna is samadhi. And why that is better than just knowing that we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, is explained in the next verse. So, verse 10. Verse 10. Vitaragabaya kroda manmaya man upasritaha bahavu gyanata pasa putaman bhavam agataha. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love. Me. Okay? So beyond liberation is the stage of attaining transcendental love for Krishna. First, you have to become liberated from the influence of the modes. Then, real devotional service begin. There's a verse, Mam Chayo Vyabicha Rina Bhakti Yogina Sedati. Saguna Samatitaitam Brahma Bhuyaka Kapati. It is after when we become free from the influence of the mood that pure devotional service actually begins. So, beyond liberation is the stage of attaining transcendental love for Krishna. Putamad Bhavam Agata. Without being purified by knowledge of Krishna, how can we become absorbed in him? See? We must hear about him. Transcendental knowledge about him is far superior to knowledge that we are souls and not our material bodies. By understanding Krishna, we become further purified and attain love for him. This verse describes being freed from attachment, fear, and anger. The 3rd chapter listed these items as the coverings of the soul. When our assimilation of transcendental knowledge frees us from attachment, fear, and anger, we can become fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Then, always thinking of Krishna, we can take full shelter of him and attain transcendental love. By hearing about Krishna, many persons in the past became purified and attained love for Krishna. So this process of hearing, which is the beginning of devotional service, is very important. By hearing the disease or the condition soul, start to get cured. When you hear about Krishna's pastimes, the hearer benefits, the speaker benefits, and those who are just witnesses, they all benefit. So it is said to be the medicine. Hearing of the pastimes of the Lord is the medicine for the disease condition soul who is languishing in this material world. The medicine to get free is hearing about the pastimes of the Lord. So it's very, very important. By hearing with hearing. And but the purpose of hearing is constant remembrance. So hearing as it is, beautiful as it is a servant to remembrance. You hear so that you can eventually constantly remember it. So that is the mental culture, to constantly remember the Lord. The mental culture of devotee is to constantly remember the Lord. And hearing will help to bring you to that point eventually. So this hearing is very, very important. Okay? That I take love for Krishna because what then occurs when someone takes shelter of Krishna with something other than that? Other than a desire to achieve transcendental knowledge. What if someone is not interested in Krishna's eternal service? What if someone wants knowledge of Brahman and takes shelter of Krishna to obtain it? The next verse explains how Krishna reciprocates with such persons. Okay? It is not everybody that come to hear about Krishna with the intention of coming to God. But the different type of people who come to hear about Krishna, they have their intention and Krishna reciprocates to all of them. It is not everybody. You see? You see? It's not everybody who come to hear about Krishna wanting to become pure devotee. Then the question is, what then occurs when someone takes shelter of Krishna with something other than a desire to achieve transcendental love? What if someone is not interested in Krishna's eternal service? What if someone wants knowledge of Brahman and takes shelter of Krishna to obtain it? The next verse explains how Krishna reciprocates with each soul. The next verse. Verse 11. Ye yata mam prapadiyante tam stataiva bhajamiyaham mama vatmanu vartante manusya partasavasa. All of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Peter. Somebody should read this purport, please. Different people have different motives for approaching Krishna, hearing about him. Yeah. How does Krishna reciprocate? Krishna is saying that according to the mode, according to Krishna is saying that he reciprocates to them according to their desires and according to their level of surrender. So everyone actually follows his path in all respects. So read the purport because it's a very important purport. As all surrender unto me, I reward them.
Everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestation. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma duty, effulgence, and as the all-pervading supersoul, dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotees want him. One devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally, according to their different instincts, intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally esteemed by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the Transcendental abode, associate with him in the person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss. In this loving service, as for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. Some of them who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence return to his material field to exhibit their dormant desires of activity. They are not admitted into the spiritual planet, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planet. For those who are fruitful workers, the Lord awards with desired results of their prescribed duties as the Yajna Swara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless, therefore, one comes to the highest perfection of spiritual consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as is stated in the Brahma Srimad Bhagavatam 2, 3. Whether one is without desire, that's the condition of the devotees, or it is desirous of all fruitive desires, or is after liberation, one should, with all efforts, try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So it is very clear and self-explanatory. Everyone follows his own paths. Everyone has his desire while approaching the Lord. And the Lord is so merciful that he awards everyone as desire. Is equally disposed to everyone. So he reciprocates according to the desire of the individual. So that is it. It is very clear. Everyone therefore depends on the mercy of the Lord for the fulfillment of his desire. So devotees who worship Krishna in love go to Goloka Vrindavan. The Brahmavadis who worship Krishna to merge into the Brahma are awarded their desired results. And therefore, the Prabhupada writes in this purpose about the Brahma Jyoti and going to Brahma. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur also comments that one may say, certainly your exclusive devotees, others, however, don't. In that category are Gyanis and others who approach you to perfect their own processes of Jnana and so on. And they not consider your births and activities eternal. Krishna responds to this consideration in the verse beginning, yea, in whatever manner persons approach me, Bhajanti, I reciprocate with him by giving them the fruits of their service. In whatever manner. If you want anything at all, you approach him, you reciprocate accordingly. Okay? You reciprocate. Reciprocate according to the individual worshippers. In whatever manner a person approach me, I reciprocate with them by giving them the fruits of their service. So those who think My Lord's birth and activities are eternal, and who worship me with desires, centered on my personal person, and in this way experience great happiness. I reciprocate in kind. Yes, being the Supreme Lord, capable of doing anything, undoing anything, or making anything otherwise, I make such devotees my own pasadas or perfect devotees in order to make their birth and activities eternal. The Lord can turn anything to anything. So when he's receiving any service from anybody who has any kind of motive, the Lord knows how to make them into pure devotees when the right time comes. He knows how to do that exactly. So he accepts them from wherever they are coming. Okay? And he boosts their morale accordingly, fulfill their desire at the same time, take them. The Lord is very expert in doing it. Descending to this world at suitable time, along with these devotees, and subsequently disappearing, I do show my favor to them at every moment. I bestow on them pure love of God as the fruit of their reciprocation. To those Gyanis and others who consider my birth and activities temporary and my personal form a product of Maya, yet still try to reciprocate with me, I respond in kind by making them accept temporary births and activities again and again. I cause them to fall into the noose of Maya's illusion. In this way, I give them the rewards they deserve, the miseries of birth and death. That's what they deserve. So you give it to them. Those persons simply want to destroy their gross and subtle bodies and obtain liberation. So you give it to them. I thus arrange for the attachment of eternal Brahmananda and bestow. So thus, not only my devotees reciprocate with me, but in all different ways, all kinds of human beings follow my path. Gyanis, Kamis, yogis, and worshippers of demigods. In other words, because identities, all the processes of Gyan, Kam, and so on constitute the path towards me. So you get it. In any form, is Krishna who has spread himself. And those who are Kamakandis, he has spread himself to meet them through the demigods and the different sacrifices therein. Therefore, the Kamakanda activities, the Vanashram activities. It is he alone who reciprocates with everyone. Just as when Krishna entered the Kamsa arena, Kamsa palace. People were there, different people were there, and all of them saw it differently. And they all reciprocated with him accordingly. Kamsa saw him as death personified. Kamsa, they saw Krishna as death personified, and Krishna was there to reciprocate accordingly. And the gopis yes, and he went there to isolate. They saw him as the best of men, as Cupid personified. See, and he reciprocated with everyone simultaneously. So in all respects, it is only him who reciprocates with everyone. So he said, according to their level, reciprocate. This is a very big verse. If you can understand this verse, you understand everything happening within the verse, and you will not be disturbed. You see that somehow or the other, everyone is following the same path. But some are crawling, some are still sleeping, some are tired and they are deep asleep, some are walking, some are running, some are entering plane. But everyone is on the same path. Everyone. You see? Sorry. The weather is affecting so many things, both internally and externally. So what can we do? Thus, not only my devotees reciprocate with me, but in all different ways, all kinds of human beings follow my path. The Gyanis, the Kamis, the Yogis, and worshippers of demigods. In other words, because I incorporate in myself all identities, all the processes of Jnana, Karma, and so on, that constitutes the path towards me. Once you then ask, if Krishna, the Supreme Lord, gives a soul whatever he wants, why don't more persons surrender to him? Why do they worship others to fulfill their desires? Krishna answered this question in the next verse. Okay? The question is that if Krishna gives a soul whatever he wants, why don't more persons surrender to him? Why Krishna, why do they worship others to fulfill their desires? Krishna answers in the next verse. Wait, my calendar is up. So what is the next verse? Verse 12. Kansanta karmanam siddhim yajanta ihadevataha kshipram hi manuse loke siddhi bhavati karmaja. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. Quickly, of course. Okay, so one who worships Krishna for material benefits obtains his desires, but Krishna first purifies his heart. If you worship Krishna for material desires, Krishna will first purify your heart. Then he fulfills the material desires for you. One who worships Krishna for material benefits obtains his desires, but Krishna first purifies his heart. The purification may take time, and therefore the material reward may be delayed. That's why when you are devotee of Krishna, you're having some desires, and the desires are not getting quickly fulfilled. Don't be disturbed, because Krishna considers the total being, how to deliver the total being. So when you approach Krishna with material desire, he will first purify the heart, will purify your heart, then he fulfills the desires for you. So it may delay, may take some time. It doesn't instantly reciprocate to whatever God give me this, then he start giving. God give me that, then start giving. Such a father is not a correct father. The child asks for anything, just give. Give me sweet, he give. Give me knife, he give. Give me cutlass, he give. Give me scissors, give me razor blade. You give everything the child is asking. Give me fire, you give. Give me kerosene, you give. Give me petrol. Give me. That is the nature of the child. But the loving father first sees, say, if I give this guy kerosene, he may drink it, and that will give problem to him. So before I give him kerosene, let him mature to some level where he can know the difference between kerosene and water. So that when I give him, he will not go and drink it and get himself into more trouble. So Krishna considers like this. That is one major reason why Krishna doesn't quickly fulfill the desire that the devotee has. And the people asking for the desire feel that, oh, Krishna is delayed. Let me look for somebody who can quickly fulfill it. So they run to this demigod, they run to that demigod, that demigod can fulfill my desire instantly. And Ganesh, they run to this one, they run to that one. But they are not present enough to wait for Krishna's time. But Krishna has their best interest at heart. If I give a razor blade to a child, he's going to use it to cut all his body. So he's asking for reservation, but he doesn't know the dangers involved. So I will not give him reservation. When he gets mature to be able to know the use of reservation, at that time I will give him, but not now. So Krishna first purified the heart before he awards the desires of the. So that was take place, but people don't understand. See, the purification may take time, and therefore the material reward may be delayed. Once the reward is achieved, however, the devotee usually no longer wants it. Yes, that is the special qualification of rewards, that the material rewards that are given, awarded by Krishna, because he has already purified the heart. When he purifies the heart, then he gives him what is asking for. At that time, the devotee sees that, oh, it is useless. This is like useless as broken pieces of glasses compared to what I can get for you. This thing I ask for, this is a childish request. So I don't need it. And Krishna will say, take it. Take it. I will protect your intelligence. Since you needed, you approach me for it, take it. I will give you. But I will protect your intelligence. Rest assured. Promises like that. So he still gives so that that one will not become another so Krishna will award you, but usually once the reward is achieved, the devotee usually no longer wants it. That was true in the case of people who want material benefit worship the demigods. Say Krishna is delaying in fulfilling my desires. But I've heard that Lord Shiva will just give bam. He will just let me ask for Lord Shiva. I need this thing so bad, wanting my desires. Therefore, he put Krishna aside, start to worship Lord Shiva, worship other demigods for immediate results without consideration of the dangers. Okay. Okay. Therefore, greedy people who want material benefits worship the demigods who are Krishna servants to get quick results. One person worship the demigod for fruitful results, another worship Brahma, and yet another worship Krishna with devotion. Does Krishna, the Supreme, is gonna control everyone's desires? Is it he who decides that one person will be a materialist and another a devotee, and yet another is struggling spiritual aspirant? Is Krishna, the Supreme Controller, responsible for the suffering and enjoyment and pain and pleasure of everyone in this world? Is he? It's not. In the next verse, you are going to see verse 13. Verse 13. Chatu Vanya Maya Sristam Guna Karma Vibhagasam Tasya Kataram Apimam Didi Akataram Abhyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer. I am yet the non-doer. Can somebody read the purport here? Verse 13, purport.
The Lord, the Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of him. Everything is sustained by him. And everything after annihilation rests in him. He is therefore the creator of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men. Technically, called Brahmana, Brahmanas due to their being situated in their abode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technical called the Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. The mercantile men called the Vyasyas are situated in the mixed modes of passion and ignorance. And the Sudras or liberal class are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. In spite of his creating the four divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions because he is not one of the conditioned souls, section of whom form human society. Human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from the animal sequence, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. The tendency of a particular man toward work is determined by the modes of material nature which he has acquired. Such symptoms of life, according to the different modes of material nature, are described in 18th chapter of this book. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above a person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even Brahmanas. Although Brahmanas by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman manifestation of Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends in limited knowledge of Brahmana and reaches the knowledge of the supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness. Or in other words, a Vaishnava, Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Rama, Nishima, Braha, and etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to this system of four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nations, or species. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So that is very elaborate and very interesting. That the Vanasana system's purpose is to assist in elevating everyone from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. That is the purpose of the Vanasana system, to assist everyone, in elevating himself from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. So from wherever you are, adequate regulations are added to your way of doing things, so that by following those regulations, you will get gradually purified and elevated. This is the financial system. It's very, very important. It's born out of the compassion, the financial system. Very, very important. From wherever you are. If you are like Aswani Kumara, who is good in herbs, Krishna have a way of reaching you. So that with your practices, you can dovetail and gradually be elevated and be carried along, just like that. If you are a painter, Krishna has some regulations, and you follow those regulations as a financial. So that from wherever you are, you connect. It's like a safety net. The financial system is like a safety net. If you are to cross, from this side, like there's a river and there is a rope across the river. One end is tied to one big tree or the other end. One end is tied to another big tree of this end. And you have to cross, passing through the tiny rope. So the person who made the arrangements also knows that somebody can fall from the rope. And when they fall, it will not crash. So he has made a safety net under. Understand? So that if somebody happens to lose balance and fall, we fall on that net. And that net will trap him so that he will not crash on the ground. So that safety net is the management system. That while doing our duty, there is a safety net. Now, unless as long as you operate within the confines of the rules and regulations given there for guidance, you are within the range of the safety net. So that from there you can get opportunity to climb up again and continue. This arrangement is made by the Lord himself out of compassion. So although the financial system was created by Krishna, it is not he who placed the jivas within that system. He created the mechanism, they positioned themselves in the system according to the demigods and who regulate their activities. So a combination of guna, deva, guna, and karma. The demigods regulate their activities and position them, give them a particular type of sensory organs according to their modes. Then from there they connect. It is the individuals by their qualities and work that are positioned in the financial system. It is not the Lord that positions them. It is their quality and their activity that position them in different parts of the mechanism. Okay, so it is not he who placed the jivas within the system. This fact was mentioned in text 11. Krishna, as the impartial super soul, reciprocates with the desires of the living entities. He always remains the non-doer, and it does not directly reward anyone with the fruit of his work. In addition, Krishna himself is always transcendental to the financial system, despite the fact that he, while in the world, follows the prescribed duties of his varnas and dharma. Ashram. Even while acting as though is under Vanashram, it does not act within it. In that sense, Krishna is also the non-doer or non-actor in relationship to the Vanashram, as he is already transcendental and therefore is not elevated by following the system. He is also unchangeable. The Prabhupada confirmed this by saying, in spite of his creating the 4 divisions of human society, Krishna does not belong to any of the divisions. Okay? He does not belong to any of the divisions. So logically, if I were to award you the fruits of your work, I must be transformed, at least on some level, because I have reacted to what you have done. Krishna directly says that he is the non-doer and unchangeable, to show that he, the absolute truth, is aloof. Although he is the creator of the financial system, he awards neither results nor reactions. Thus, he is neither contaminated nor civil. Yes, Krishna is the supreme personality of Goddess, the supreme controller, and the cause of all causes. Yet, he will not accept responsibility for everything that happened to Jivas. We each must take responsibility for what happens to us, even though everything is unlimitedly dependent on Krishna. Krishna only sanctions against his own desires, our wayward and rebellious activities, and their subsequent results, because those activities are products of the expression of our free will. So, in other words, Krishna only awards us for our own activities. A system, he has created a system that rewards us for what we have done. So, yes. In this verse, Krishna explained that he is Akara, Akata, Akata. That means the non-doer. Doer means kata. Krishna is Akata, means he is the non-doer. The individual soul is doer. Yes. Krishna has previously explained that Prakriti Kriya Munani Kunai Karmani Savasa Ahankara Vimudatma Tatuam Itmayati. The spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself the doer of activities that are in naturality carried out by the force of nature. Our thinking of ourselves as the cause of the result of our activities, Krishna said, indicates that we are bewildered. Now, Krishna tells us not only that we are not the doer, but that he is not the doer either. Who then is doing everything? Yes, who then is doing everything? Krishna sometimes takes one side of this issue and sometimes the other. At times, he wants to emphasize our position as tiny souls who should not be falsely proud of our prowess or think ourselves rightfully attached to the fruits of our activities. At such times, he emphasizes that we are not the doers, that we do not cause the fruits of our activities, and that the result of our activities is awarded to us by material nature. At other times, he emphasizes our culpability. He then wants us to take full responsibility for our actions and reactions. Thus, at those times, Krishna stresses himself also as the non-doer. Krishna, the material nature, and the living entities are all doers. Okay? The living entity desires to act. Krishna as the super soul sanctions it, and material nature facilitates the act. Yet the weight of responsibility for the action rests solely upon the living entity. Although the living entity has no independent power to act, it initiates actions by its desires, while both the super soul and material nature, being natural, facilitate their action. In the next verse, Krishna will further explain how he is the non-doer, or how he acts but does not act, and the value of thoroughly understanding these subtle truths. So that is it. The individuals, we are all doers. The individual soul, Krishna, and material nature. These are the three players. But it is the individual nature, the individual soul that has a particular desire. Then Krishna, respecting the free will of the individual soul, he approves because he doesn't want to interfere with the free will. Then material nature now facilitates the manifestation. So they are doers in all respects, but the actual doer is the individual soul who is desiring in a particular way. Krishna and material nature only comes to facilitate the desire. That's all. So we should be ready to take responsibility for our actions. Verse 4, think. Namam karmani limpati, name karma phales priya, iti mam yopi janati, karma binaso bandhyate. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled to the fruitive reactions of God. So here, conditioned souls, bound by their independent desires for pleasure, try to act based on those desires. Their attempts cause the modes of material nature to react, which result in activity and its reactions. Krishna's own actions are different. Krishna engages in many activities, but while acting, he is materially aloof and materially desireless, because his activities are within the internal energy and are free from the modes of material nature. Because his work is materially desireless, no reactions attach themselves to his work. As both he and his devotees are transcendental to material control, neither falls within the Banasra system, despite their willingly following the strictures of prescribed duties. Okay. As we mentioned in the next verse, when the jiva understands these facts about Krishna and applies this transcendental knowledge to his own work and becomes a servant of Krishna, he also becomes aloof from material wiles of action and reaction. Okay, you get it? He also becomes free from the wiles of material action and reaction. Because Krishna, the main point is that because Krishna and the devotees, the activities are under the internal potency. They are conducted by the internal potency of the Lord. They do not fall within the influence of material nature. That's the point. Both Krishna and his pure devotees, their activities are beyond the influence of material nature. That is the point here. So, verse 15. Today we are going to stop at verse 15. Then we're going to preview the capsules on the PowerPoints and stop there. Verse 15. Evam gyatva kritam karma purvai api mumukshibi kuru karmai batasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding and so attained liberation. Therefore, as the essence, you should perform your duty in this divine consciousness. Purport. Somebody should read this purport for the last purport for today.
There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial to both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to their line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process. Following the regulative principles of devotional service, those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna desires to retire from activities in the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act, to retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness, and to sit aloof. Making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god, yes, Vivasvan, as mentioned there herein before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities, as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the act of the sun god, who learned this act from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of the Lord are mentioned here as part liberated persons engaged in the discharge duties allotted by Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you can get the point. Premature renunciation without realization leads to degradation. Premature renunciation without realization leads to degradation. Krishna did not want Arjuna to prematurely renounce. He wants you to renounce only after he has gotten the desired purification. Purification he will get by acting in his karma. So do your duty without attachment, and as a matter of service to me, purification will take place. Then automatically you will renounce the fruits of your actions for my service. This is action in Krishna consciousness. So in the next 9, Krishna has no attachment for the fruits of work. Knowing this, Arjuna should fight with faith for Krishna's pleasure. If we desire to become liberated, yes, he should fight for Krishna's pleasure. Krishna wants Arjuna to fight in knowledge of Krishna's position as an offering to him. In this way, Arjuna should follow. Many devotees who became liberated still acted. Not that when you become liberated, you no longer are free from actions. No. When you become liberated, you are still going to act. The pure devotees still acted as a matter of showing examples to others. Because whatever action a great man does, common men follow. So when you have become liberated, then what are the activities of a liberated person? A liberated person acts in proper Krishna consciousness. So showing the example, it becomes an acharya. So that is needed, serious needed. And Krishna doesn't want to compromise. He wants Arjuna to fight as not to show an example. So in this way, Arjuna should follow the example of previous great devotees. In the next 9 verses, 16 to 24, his own work, Krishna will explain how work, karma, can be seen as inactivity, karma. Arjuna previously said he wished to leave the battlefield and avoid the result of his karma, like a jnani, though through inactivity. Krishna will show him that no karma accrues to one who works in transcendental knowledge, and that properly performing karma can thus be seen as non-different from the previous, the process of jnana. So somebody is host now. The persons will give me host. Somebody has taken my hostship. Somebody has taken my hostship. The persons will give me back my hostship so that I can share my PowerPoints. Everybody check yourselves.
Babu, please, who's the host now?
Whoever with my
Who's the host? Or is Bhakti Maga?
Please rectify. Somebody is host instead of me.
Dada,
It's okay. Mama. The host will give me my hostship back. I want it back for service. No. Somebody is having my hostship. Somebody should help to rectify it. Make me host again, please, so that I can share my PowerPoints and we'll conclude. Somebody should give me my hostship, please. I want to share my PowerPoints. Please check. Somebody should help. Let me become host again. Somebody has taken my hostship. My hostship is dislocated. Please give me back so I can share my PowerPoints, please.
Bhakta Dinabandhu is the host.
Dinabandhu?
Yes.
Bhakti Maga, please, you are the host.
Give me my host back.
Or he's not on, he's not.
Dinabandhu. He has arrested the host and has locked it up, and locked it up, thereby depriving everyone else from having a vision of what we are. We have like 10 minutes to do this. The time is going. Amega Dinabandhu. So everyone know that Dinabandhu is not there. He just put his picture. He has deceived us that is there. This is, but Lawson is now the host. So Lawson, transfer it. Dinabandhu, don't deceive us. When you are not there, let us know you are not there. But Lawson, you are not the host, please.
I'm transferring.
Okay.
Dr. Lawson, you are the host, so please, if you can do that.
We were looking for you, but you are nowhere.
The network frustration is where I am, that's why.
Today we caught you. You have been expert in dodging like this, but today all of us have seen you. That you used to hide, to do many other things. Why the picture is there, deceiving us that you are there. Why naturally you created illusion.
I'm right here, bravo.
But Lawson, please give me a worship. The time is going. We have only 5 minutes now.
Prabhu, please, it's done. Please check. Your title has been given to you.
I've seen it. So, and this is where we started from. Arjuna's doubts. Hare Krishna. We will just share towards the end of this. Why create Varnashram system? Why create Varnashram system? Why did Krishna create Varnashram system? That in spite of his creating the 4 divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions, because he's not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom form human society. Why Krishna created this system? Human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from the animal status, the above mentioned divisions were created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. Now, why Krishna is not within Varnashram? These are proprietors. The proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the workers, but the workers are themselves responsible. The living entities are engaged in their respective activities of sense gratification, and these activities are not ordained by the Lord. The rains and vegetation. Why Krishna is not within Varnashram? The Lord is aloof. These are analogies. The Lord is aloof from material actions and reactions. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth. Although without such rains, there is no possibility of vegetative growth. In the material creations, the Lord is only the supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature. and by which cosmic manifestation is made visible. That we should follow the way of the liberated souls. That to retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof, making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god, as mentioned here before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities, as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun gods who learned this act from the Lord some millions of years before. As such, students of Lord Krishna are mentioned as past liberated persons engaged in discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. So, this brings us to the next. From tomorrow, we are going to continue from here. Karma Yoga, verses 16 to 24, then on and on. We see how far we can go. So this is where we end today. If there are some questions and commentaries, we can quickly address them. Demigods and their worshippers. Previously in chapter 12, say the demigods of this material world, as well as their worshippers, will vanish with the annihilation of this world. The boons of the demigods are matters, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the ocean. They are like bubbles in the ocean. So the intelligent man, he takes to the worship of the Supreme directly. Okay. So say all these different kind of people, Krishna reciprocates to them accordingly. So from wherever you are and whatever you are doing, Krishna reciprocates. For the fruity workers, Krishna reciprocates to them as Lord of sacrifice, Jagneshwara. For the impersonalists, the Lord reciprocates as Brahma Jyoti. For the yogis, the Lord gives them mystic powers. That is the reciprocation. For the devotees, he gives 5 primary rasas. But before them, Krishna as the goal of all paths, creator of the Manasran. That was the thing. But before that, there's a rising and setting. That Krishna reveals his transcendental position. Factually, his appearance and disappearance are like the sun's rising, moving before us, and then disappearing from our eyesight. When the sun is out of sight, we think that the sun is set. And when the sun is before our eyes, we think that the sun is on the horizon. Actually, the sun is always in its fixed position. But owing to our defective insufficient senses, we calculate appearance and disappearance of the sun in the sky. So the Lord's appearance and disappearance are transcendental. He always existed. But when there's a need to manifest himself for a particular person, he comes. But out of all the reasons for his coming, the major reason, the secret confidential reason, is to give pleasure to his devotees, to satisfy the devotees who have been wanting to have a dash, who have been eager to see his form. So devotees, exalted devotees have been eager to see the form of the Lord, and that is why the Lord actually takes birth. Otherwise, he could do everything through his agency. So that is it. Verses 5 and 6 talk about Krishna appearance and disappearance. 7 and 8, Krishna activities, when and why. Then the result of understanding this transcendental knowledge. 9 and 10. But before then, yes, the history of the Bhagavad-Gita. That Krishna spoke to the sun gods some millions of years back. Then to Manu, the sun god gave it to Manu, Manu to Iswaku. Then the message appeared to the Lord, and Krishna is now giving it to Arjuna. Krishna is trying to make Arjuna part of the Parampara. So that is it. So these are the 4 topics for this particular chapter. We can wait this. is transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So
Hare Krishna.
thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on board, despite the fact that this is Christmas. We're also testing to see how many devotees are so absorbed in doing Christmas. When
Hare
all
Krishna,
the
Prabhu.
activities of
Please.
Christmas are just Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes. I want to know the stance of ISKCON in terms of Christmas. What's the take on Christmas? Hare Krishna. Before we go, please.
I can't hear you clearly, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, please. I was saying that what is the take on ISKCON on Christmas, on the celebration of Christmas? I don't know if you can give us a little bit a gist on the stand of ISKCON on Christmas, the celebration of Christmas.
Okay.
Yes, are we allowed to celebrate like the way the Christians do, or I don't know if you can give us any education on it, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If you understand clearly, there are celebrations in the mode of goodness, celebrations in the mode of passion, celebrations in the mode of ignorance. And for the knowledge you have gathered so far, you can deduce very clearly that celebrations where many animals are to be killed and be eaten, where self gratifications are maximized as the cream of the celebration, you can see that it is celebration in the mode of passion and ignorance. So, if truly Christmas is Christ, a pure devotee's appearance, how do you celebrate a pure devotee's appearance? You fast and you regulate your senses and you perform more spiritual activities. That is how to celebrate it. So, if a devotee, even after knowing that this is an opportunity for maximizing culminating in killing of many goats, the goat sellers cannot hide in their corners anymore. They have come to the express. So in between the two ways, they have created markets for themselves. Near every bus stop, the two sides of the highway, the middle side of the highway, they have lined up goats, hundreds of goats for sale, and people are there bargaining. And you know what will happen to these goats, definitely, without being told. If they follow their buyers to their houses, what will happen to them? It's better imagined than said. They will lose their heads, they will lose their neck, they will lose their bodies. Their bodies will be buried in somebody's stomach. So we pass on such a situation. If you can carry the reactions, okay, because the choice is still yours. That's what we are saying. We are free to act. You cannot say you are in an environment where these things are going on and you will not be implicated. If you are part of the celebration, you can say, okay, I will not eat the meat, I will not do all that, all what they are doing, but I will just sit there. Still, for the fact you are breathing in that air right there, and you are like appreciating. If you are not appreciating, why are you there? Then, of course, you get your own share of the reaction also. So, as devotees, if we accept Christ as a pure devotee, our approach to the celebration is to fast and do more jagyas and preach more and do kirtan and anything less than that. I advise you don't participate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prabhu. All glories to the most beautiful Lord, Sri Radha Govinda Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. And we thank you very much once again.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Krishna will bless you like anything. Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna.
I think we can end and go. You can participate in whatever program.